So, number 10. No.
Yeah, wait for Ryan. Shut up.
No. Number 10. The equation you end up with is 8.75h is less than or equal to 1,600. And when you solve it, you end up with h is less than or equal to 182.86. Number 12. You end up with m is less than or equal to negative 68. And the graph has got all the stuff on it, but you end up with a closed circle at negative 68, and the graph goes this way. Number 14. C is greater than 121, and you end up with an open circle with the graph going this way. Number 16. X is less than or equal to 20, and you end up with a closed circle and the graph going to the left. Number 18. H is greater than 21. And you end up with an open circle and the graph shaded to the right. Number 20. N is greater than or equal to, 108. You end up with a closed circle shaded to the right. Number 22. R is less than 16, and you end up with a open circle shaded to the left. Number 24, right? 24. You end up with T is greater than -1, and the graph would be an open circle shaded to the right. 26 is Z is greater than or equal to 11, and you end up with a closed circle shaded to the right. And finally, 28 is D is greater than -2.5, and you end up with an open circle shaded to the right.
On 28, can it be 0.5 as well as a half?
Yes, it can be. Any other questions on this homework set?
Negative or just positive?
Negative. What other questions do y'all have?
Does it have to be with the variable on the left side?
Yes.
Okay.
For inequalities, yes.
Okay.
I know what I just wrong on the ones I got wrong. I just wrote the symbol down backwards or something and then shaded it the wrong way.
Well, that's not a small thing. Because we need to look back at why they got backwards. That's an important thing that you're missing there. So, like, what's one that you got wrong? Give me a number.
Number 14.
Number 14.
I got the right number, but for some reason,
Yes.
got the.
So number 4. Well, and I think I know why you got it wrong. because you forgot something. It's kind of
It's
one of the
thing where you flip it around.
Yes.
And it's the variable on the wrong side. The thing is,
No, I don't think that's quite what it was, but it could be. Let's look at number 14. Okay, number 14 was negative 11 is greater than negative c over 11. So first thing we should do is we should switch the whole thing around to where the variable's on the left. Let's do that first.
Oh, I didn't do that first.
You could do it later, but you could do it, but let's do it first on this one. Okay. So negative c over 11 is less than negative 11. How would we get rid of that negative 11 over here? We multiply times negative 11. What happens when we multiply both sides by a negative?
The sign changes.
The inequality changes.
Oh, right. Oh.
See, there you go. See, I knew what you made a mistake on. See, look at me. I'm all smart and stuff. Okay, now that's the thing that you were forgetting, and that's why I wanted to take a second to make sure we look at it.
Only whenever the number that you are using that you're multiplying on both sides is a negative, or
Yes.
okay.
Yes. So what if the intermediate part? If you're multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative, the inequality flips around.
But if it was positive 11 and there was some negative in there, it wouldn't flip anything.
Yeah, if we were multiplying times positive 11, it would still stay less than.
Oh.
Yeah. So you end up with positive 121.
I think I did that on multiple. That's what I did wrong on
Yep.
most of them.
I know. That's why I took a minute to make sure we remembered that. So when you graph it, you do your number line, you do your tick marks, you would do 0. We'd probably count by tens or something. So 10, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 110, 120. And then label a couple of them.
10, 20, 40.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80.
Yeah, you got to 120.
I don't know what I did. 10, 20, 30.
40, 60.
I started going logarithmic. You don't know about that?
You said let's count by tens.
10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 80. No, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120.
There you go.
So right here is an open circle at 121.
So it doesn't matter if it's directly on a mark as long
Nope. As long as we have enough detail for it to make sense.
You just have to label what it is, right?
Yep. You have to label what it is and what we're counting by. All that's true. So that's the thing that you were forgetting.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on, which is one of the main new things in this lesson. So we'll make sure we got that.
So
Any other questions on the homework?
So at the beginning of the problem, if you see a negative sign, you flip the.
No, not at the beginning of the problem.
We have a quiz today?
No. We probably should, but we don't.
I thought we were gonna have those like mini quizzes or that big session.
I know things happen.
Yes, things happen. Let's go.
It's not actually a good thing. You would be in a better way if we had a quiz every day.
We should do that. Shut up, Aiden.
But the problem is this is the first year I've taught these classes, and so time happens, right? Time is not infinite.
In Paris from taking business.
This is not the only class I teach, or the only thing I do with my life. But we'll get in there.
What life?
We're doing what we can do. Probably have more of a life than you.
Facts.
I have a whole freaking. I'm starting 3 businesses at once, and I have friends. We all know you don't have any friends.
Oh. Is one of them making and selling gnomes?
No.
I thought you were selling garden gnomes.
No. You got confused.
You just make them and keep them all for yourself?
No.
Wait, do you make gnomes?
I did. That was a project that we did. Okay, so let's move on. Yes,
I'm
that's
gonna
true.
leave a comment saying math class. What's the start? He said I have no friends in our math. What did we talk about?
CNC stuff, which is related to the other.
Oh, no, I'm kidding.
So you're a garden gnome. What are you crying about? Stop it.
I'm always weird. What are you talking about?
So, where we left off the other day, y'all were supposed to do some guided practice.
Yes.
You were supposed to do 23 is greater than or equal to 10 minus 2w, right? Is that one of them?
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. And so what you should have gotten as your answer for that one, if you did it correctly.
Is that 18 or 10? Because I have 10 on mine.
I got 10. That's
10 is correct.
Abraham.
Okay, Vine Day.
I like it.
What you should have gotten was W is greater than or equal to negative 6.5. And you should have gotten the graph something like this. Probably count by ones. Put our 0 on there. -1, -2, -3, 4, 5, 6.5. So we're going to put our little mark here at -6.5. Okay, we do a filled in circle, and it looks like this. Why?
I don't know.
Questions on that guided practice before we look at the second guided practice?
If a woodchuck could woodchuck.
That's not a question. It's just obnoxious.
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck? Are you recording right now?
Yeah. Have evidence for your parental figure. Positive 13
Have you ever had to do that
is
before?
greater than or
Where
equal to
someone like used to-
-2w.
I know what I did.
Good.
I added.
Any other questions on this problem? No? Okay, the second one was 43 is greater than -4y plus 11. And if you did it correctly, you should have ended up with y is greater than -8. And your graph should have looked like this, more or less. You should have had 0 marked, probably counting by ones. -1, -2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not necessarily. There, you could. Like if you counted by tens on this problem, I would probably count a point off. If you counted by twos, that'd probably be fine. If you counted by hundreds, I'd definitely count a point off.
Why?
Because that's way wrong scope if we're trying to get to -8.
But tens are wrong?
Tens is called lazy. But twos would make sense on this one. Twos would be close enough. Twos would probably be close.
What about fours?
Fours, I don't know, maybe.
Why wouldn't fours? I mean, it's
Fours is, I don't know. It depends on how close. I mean, because fours is like kind of lazy, not quite as lazy as tens.
What about eights?
Eights would be stupid. I would definitely count a point off for eights.
That's what I did for the negative, for like the 121 one, because I didn't have room.
What did you count by for that one?
I did it by like 121s.
No, you can't do that. Go by 20s or 50s.
I did it by 11.
That makes sense.
I did it
By 11. So you had 11 tick marks.
I did it by 20.
Yeah, go by something that gives you some marks on the page.
Okay.
Any questions on that problem? Target. Okay, now Another vine. Okay. Any questions on that one before we move on?
Hey.
So y'all all got that one right. You're all happy about it. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Chase is throwing up, not coming to class. She was hoping you could email him some way to his homework.
Chase won't be in class today.
That
Who's
reminds
Chase?
me.
No, just kidding.
I'm not gonna be in class on Thursday because I'm going to a basketball tournament.
Of course.
What are you crying about?
We're going to be in class on Thursday.
I'm not gonna be in class on Thursday because I'm going to a basketball.
There'll be a recording.
I'm not gonna be in class next week any day.
Because you're going to Disney World.
I'm going to Disney.
There'll be
We're
recordings.
at Disney World this week.
Okay.
Why does everyone go to Disney World during the school year?
Because they're homeschooled.
You're home.
Okay.
I think it's lucky that they get to go to Disneyland.
Oh.
So y'all don't have any questions on that. You got it. You got it good. You got it good.
Do we have to get it in like that?
Yeah, you
I
have to
just
be
make like
exact.
another arrow on top. Like I make a circle and then a line connected to it with things.
What?
Direction.
I don't understand what you're saying. Like you just go like a line and then an arrow. Is that what you're talking about? As long as it's clear what you're doing, that's probably fine. It's not clear, then I'll count off. Okay. And it's got to be, see the trick with that though, is it has to be clear to me. So what you think is clear and what I think are clear might be different things.
But what if it's just clear? Well, how did it?
What are y'all crying
You just drew
about?
a circle and it put squares everywhere.
Magic.
And then Hannah or someone got their head and
Okay, we're gonna finish up lesson 3.
Oh.
Yeah, we're still having class. True facts.
We're just now 15 minutes.
Well, I thought we were gonna go to lesson 4.
3 minus. We can't go to lesson 4 until we finish lesson 3.
Come on, man. I need more.
It's not always true, but it is true in this case. 3 minus 11 times a number is more than 21 minus 5 times the number. Okay, so we're going to write an inequality. We're going to solve it. Graph it. So how are we going to do that?
3 minus 11n is greater than 21 minus
3 minus 11n is greater than
21 minus 5n.
21 minus 5n. Sounds perfect. So now what are we going to do?
Put the variables on the same side.
Okay, good. Which variable, what are we going to do?
Subtract 3
Add
on both
5 to both sides. Or to make it positive, we could add 11.
Yeah, but we want the variable on the left.
Add 5 in on both sides.
Add 3 and subtract 5 in on both sides at the exact same time.
We're going to add 5n to both sides. This is Algebra 1, dude. We can't be doing all that craziness right now. Wait till Algebra 2.
Because all it'll be is just switching the thing, so it'll be 5n.
What's negative 11n plus 5n?
16.
Wait,
No.
It's 6n.
Oh.
6n.
No.
Negative 6n.
Thank you.
Ryan, is it
Eventually. As Lego Batman says, first try.
That was a really good impression.
Good, I'm glad. Good.
Then we'll subtract.
Good enough. Okay. Now what?
Subtract 3.
That's what Ryan's been trying to say for a long time.
No, he's wrong.
Well, he was right then. You could have done what he said.
Oh, I did it what I said.
Um,
Thank you very much. Right, it's wrong.
When you make a bunch of careless errors, because you're not listening to me, I will make fun of you. It'll be okay. Now what?
divide both sides by negative 6. So it's going to be n is greater than negative.
There's a mistake on the board. Where is it? I actually did it on purpose for once.
Oh, yeah.
The inequality flips around. Why does it flip around?
Divided by negative.
Because we divided by a negative. That's right.
Stop.
Wow, what?
Now we grab it. And you got more.
Technically, you just need something straight, but it's fine.
Alright.
What should we count by?
Tens.
Ones would make a lot of sense.
Ryan's trying. After I got that 34 on my last test. You did not do it.
You didn't even get a 34 on your last test.
You got like a 60 something. It's the same thing. Stop seeing Ryan's grades on YouTube. It's a fail in my book.
Bootyful.
Wait a minute. Oh, wait, never mind.
Are you trying to fight me right now? Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go. Start the game already. That's old. Y'all don't even know about that life. Y'all didn't play Age of Empires 2. Facts.
Alright, let's do.
No.
That's legal. Alright, boys, let's do.
4 times the quantity. Go ahead.
So on that problem, when we did it, the very first step, we added 5. How did we get rid of the negative? Because we just added, right, opposite sides.
Okay.
I figured it out.
Okay.
I don't know what was in my head.
Then I will not go back and answer your question because you figured it out yourself. Good job. Okay. So 4 times the quantity, 3t minus 5, close parentheses, plus 7 is greater than or equal to 8t plus 3. So we're going to solve for t. So what should we do? Distribute what?
The 4.
Distribute the 4. Sounds like a good idea. So 4 times 3t is what?
12t.
12t. You don't have to be so excited. Calm down. Ha ha ha. What's 4 times negative 5?
Negative 20. Yeah.
Negative what?
20.
Oh, I thought you said 25.
No.
Bring down everything we didn't touch. Then what?
Subtract 8t to get on the side. You could add 7.
How about we do this, people? We could add.
What's 8? What's 12t minus 8t? 40. But not 40, but 4t.
40.
What's negative 20 plus 7?
Negative 13.
Negative 13. And then what? Row.
Is greater than.
Add 13 both sides.
Add 13 both sides.
4t is greater than or equal to 16.
4t is greater than or equal to 16.
T is greater than or equal to. I have a question. Didn't we multiply by a negative with the parentheses?
No. We multiplied 4 on this stuff. What's a negative? Where, buddy? 4 is not a negative. 4 is positive. We multiplied 4 times negative 5, which is negative 20, but we didn't go across the inequality.
Oh, so you only change the sign
Yep.
if it. Yeah.
Yep. Good question, sir. I knew what you were getting to. I think.
How did the negative 20 and 7 cancel out?
They didn't cancel out. We just did negative 20 plus 7.
Oh.
We just combined a couple things because we're magic like that.
Is this gonna
What's
be
16 divided by 4? Definitely.
4?
What's 16 divided by 4?
4.
4.
I said it first.
I said it first. What should we count by?
Ones.
Ones makes a lot of sense. Filled in circle.
Can we count by 4s?
No.
Can we count by 2s?
No.
Okay.
If the number is between negative 5 and positive 5, there's no way I'm not counting off if you don't count by ones. Just say it. Because that's silliness. Silliness.
Can I count by 0.05?
Sure. You can always go smaller if you want to be
boys.
silly. You won't.
Bro, I can't do it again.
Okay, so let's do 2 GPs. JC, are you with me? Oh, wait, we're doing GPs, not JCs. Okay.
I didn't practice.
6 times 5z, or z if you prefer, minus 3.
Who says Z?
People from England and Australia.
Oi,
Is less than or equal to 36z. And second guided practice is going to be 2 times the quantity h plus 6 is greater than negative 3 times the quantity 8 minus h. Yeah. Go. People from England and Australia and Canada.
I did something wrong on the first one and I can't figure it out.
Well, check your math with this math.
I did, and I can't figure out.
Did you figure it out?
Yeah. So whenever you do the thing where you have to flip it around to get the variable on the right side, is it better to do it before, like earlier in the problem, or later?
Probably either way.
Because I did it later on. I still got it right, but I didn't know if it would be.
It really doesn't matter necessarily.
Okay. Just as long as you get it on the right side and flip the sign.
Yep. Okay, let's do another couple examples.
Go.
Bet.
Ryan says no. I say yes.
Another couple examples for another couple of ways things can happen.
Oh, what is happening? My poor paper.
9t minus 5 times the quantity t minus 5 is less than or equal to 4 times t minus 3. What should we do to solve this dude? Distribute what? Where?
4 and then -5.
Bring down the 9t because we didn't touch it. What's -5 times t?
-5t.
-5t. You don't have to yell. Calm down. -5 times -5 is what?
-25.
Lies.
Positive
+25.
Because negative times a negative is positive.
Yeah.
Come on. Bro.
What's 4 times t?
4t.
No, it's not 40. It's 4t.
That's what I said.
No, it's not what you said.
Wrong, Brian.
What's 4 times -3?
This is
-12. This is
This
racist.
is racist.
This is racist.
Next, we should subtract the 4 on both sides to get it on the left. Combine like terms.
You probably want to combine like terms first. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 25 as well. So 9t minus 5t is what?
Is 4t.
4t is less than or equal to 4t. -12 minus 25 is
-37.
-37. We're going to subtract 4t from both sides.
No. So 0 equals.
So 0 is less than or equal to -37. So just like an equation, if the variable disappears, we have the same two options. Either this statement is true or it is false. So is this a true statement or a false statement? Is 0 less than or equal to -37?
No, it's not equal
No.
to.
Well, it's not less than either, because -37 is less than 0. Neither one of those things, right? So the answer to this is no solution, or the null set. Okay, next example.
Why is it no solution and not infinite solution?
Because it's false. If we got something true, then it would be infinite solutions, or it would be all real numbers. Number 2. Three times the quantity 4m plus 6 is less than or equal to 42 plus 6 times the quantity 2m minus 4. What should we do? Distribute the 3 and distribute the 6. 3 times 4m is 12m. 3 times 6 is 18.
You say 8?
She said 9 because she was doing it quickly in her head and made a mistake. She would have caught it herself. In fact, she did. Okay, 4d2. 6 times 2m is 12m. I thought it was 8. Ha ha ha. What's 6 times -4?
-24. 10.
It's not -2410. It is -24. Now what?
Combine like terms.
Combine like terms on the right side, and I'm going to go ahead and subtract 12m because I am.
So it's gonna be a no solution.
Combine like terms.
It's gonna be a no solution.
42.
18. What's 42 minus 24?
Oh, right.
Oh no.
What's 42 minus 24?
18. Yeah,
18. It is 18. So is that a true statement or a false statement?
18 is less than
It is a true statement, so our answer is all real numbers. Yes.
Is that your pencil? Yeah, I found a pencil. Want me to keep marking back here? Found it.
Okay. 2 more GPs. Then homework time.
Whoa. At least you're having homework on something you've already gone over, so you're gonna have. At least I don't have to do homework.
We always get homework over things we've gone over.
I don't have to do homework.
What are you talking about?
Well, we've gone over it before. You know what I'm saying?
What? Yeah, we went over it today.
And last class. I don't have
Well,
to do
barely,
homework.
but sure.
Yeah.
What?
I don't have to do homework. Yes, you do. No, because I'm going.
Yeah, you need to take it with you and do your homework, goober. That's how that works. You're in a class, man. You got to do your homework.
I'll watch it.
If you get behind and you fail the test and you cry about it, I don't want to hear it. Okay.
I'm gonna do corrections again. The teachers.
I'll take off the corrections.
What?
Say I won't, because I will.
You won't.
If people start relying too heavily on corrections, they go away. That's how that works.
You're relying on corrections. Take them away for a minute.
18. So Aiden can't do corrections anymore.
No, only him.
So only Aiden.
I never did corrections. Neither have I.
Minus 3 times the quantity. 8C. Plus 4 is greater than or equal to -6 times the quantity 4C minus 1. And your second GP.
Do we have to graph them?
Yeah.
What if it's no solution?
Actually, these do have graphs. What would the graph to this one up here be?
0. Would it just not have a line? No, it's just 0. Positive 0.
What would the graph to this one be?
Everything. That was a complete guess. I just wanted to say everything.
Yeah, they do have graphs. Okay. 46 is less than or equal to. (8m) minus 4 times the quantity 2m plus 5. Go. Why not?
Because, number one, I feel like I'm getting it wrong.
There's the guided practices, and there's the homework.
I did it right! Not gonna say I'm better than yeah, I got it wrong.
Well, check your work, see if you can figure out what happened.
Can we leave?
No.
Or do
You
we
can start your homework.
But can we leave?
You can start your homework.
I have to write a lab report.
Sounds like a you problem.
I have to write a we have an hour and a half to.
Why didn't you do your science homework at home?
Well, I did.
You see, what happened
all I
was...
did is write a conclusion, which I saved to do on purpose, because it's